Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. So today we have a cool looking Sudoku here. It's called Fever Bends by FullDeck and missing a few cards. Um, let's just jump right into our rules here, and like usual, the links in description below for you guys to play along if you so desire. But what are the rules? So we got standard Sudoku rules apply. So every row, every column, and every 3x3 box must contain the digits 1 through 9 once each. Those are our basic Sudoku rules. Now we've got thermometers, so digits on thermos are strictly increasing from bulb to tip. So what that means is that this is a bulb, this is the lowest digit, this is the tip, this is the highest digit on the thermo, and they must increase going up the thermo. So if this was a 1, this could be 2, 4, 7, 8, something like that, as long as it continues to increase as it goes up from the bulb to the tip. And then our only other rule is Kropki pairs. So digits in cells separated by a black dot are in a 2-to-1 ratio. So let's start with that one, and I'll finish off the rules. So these right here, essentially what it means is if this is a digit x, this is x over 2 or 2x. Another way to look at it is say if this is x, or whatever this digit is, this is either half or double of the other one. And then we have digits in cells separated by a white dot or consecutive. So these two digits right here, these two are just consecutive digits, 2, 3, 5, 6, something, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is, or it's going to matter, but we don't know. And then not all dots are necessarily given, so there is no negative constraint. So that said, those are all our rules. Nothing crazy and out of the left field here. So let's just get started on this thing and see what we can figure out. Because it does look quite interesting. It's very symmetrical looking in its construction. So what are we? Well, the first thing I kind of noticed is where does a 9 go in this region? Well, we can't put a 9 midway through a thermo, and obviously you can't put a 9 on a bulb, so it has to be one of these two. Same is going to, well, then that does actually points into this region where we can use the exact same logic. We know one of these is not, so none of these can be, but then we also know that 9 cannot go on in the middle of any of these things. So this has to be its 9. Therefore, none of these can be 9. So this is 9. None of these can be 9. So this is 9. And that comes all the way back around and gives us our 9s. So that was quite simple to start. Never think that a puzzle's easy just because the first couple of digits can jump out at you. That is a mistake that will hurt you if you think that way. We can continue to look at the 9s, I guess, in these regions. So we know that one of these is 9s for these two regions. Now, I don't think it's helpful, but there are certain things about black Kropki dots particularly that are useful. You can't have a 5, 7, or a 9 on a black Kropki because if you did, you would have to put a 2.5. Like say you have a 5, you'd have to have either 2.5 or 10. So clearly none of those are usable values for a Sudoku like this. And same goes for 7 and 9. You can't have or double them and have a valid clue. Now, we can probably, maybe, we can look at 8s in the same situation now. Since we have a 9 set up here, we know we can't have 8s more than 1 away from a tip of a thermo. So none of these can be 8s. I'm not sure this is going to get us anywhere, but I'm going to take a look at it. We know that none of those can be 8s, none of these can be 8. And none of, oops, sorry, not that one. None of these can be 8s. Let's put those out there. So these are possibilities for 8s. There doesn't really seem to be anything there that I can see. Maybe 7 would be a good, better way to look at it because we do have some of these Kropki dots in here. And we know if you, the same logic where you look at an 8, where can an 8 go on a thermo? Well, it can only go either at the very tip or the one in from the tip. Well, a 7 can only go at the tip, 1 in from the tip, or 2 in from the tip. So none of these could be 7s. The problem is I don't know that these Kropkis are going to get us there, but they might. That was almost close. None of these can be 7s. This one could still be. Yeah. And I'm also trying to think of this in the fact that we have 2 thermos in essentially each of these regions that could. Okay, so this actually does give me a little something with our 7, which is interesting. One of these 2 has to be a 7, and it can't be this one. So let's look at that again. In this region, what can be a 7? Well, we can't put a 7 on a black Kropki. The 9 obviously can't be a 7. This can't be a 7. Because 7, 8, 9 breaks. This can't be 7. Same reason. This can't be 7, 8, 9 breaks. So this is a 7. Now, is that going to transfer into some of these other regions? Well, it tells me that one of these is a 7. None of these now can be 7. That can't be 7. So one of these is 7. So it's actually giving me a little bit of something to work with here. Let's try to continue that. Now, this could be a 7. But does that influence this? Because if this is a 7, this has to be an 8, and this has to be a 9. Well, let's just put an 8 in first. How would we forget the going around the... I was going to continue with the 7, but it's getting into things where it looks like we don't quite have enough information. But you clearly have to have a 7 or an 8 between the 7 and the 9. And the 8 on a black Kropki requires this to be a 4. Now, what else can go on a black Kropki dot? The answers are 1, 2, well, whatever all the possibilities. 1, 2, 2, 4, 3, 6, and 4, 8. This can't be 1, 2 because it's in the middle of a thermo. It can't be 2, 4 because the 4 is already there, and it can't be 4, 8 because the 4, 8 is already here. So therefore, this has to be 3, 6, and 3 has to be the lower on the 2 digit. Now this has to be a 2 and a 1. Okay, so then now we know what these digits are. These have to be 5 and 1. So that got us somewhere pretty quickly, actually. Okay. Now, well, this guy is a little bit interesting in the fact that it cannot be a 3-6 black Kropki because we have a 3-6 looking at it, and it can't have a 1 on it. So it's either 2, 4 or 4, 8. There has to be a 4 on it somewhere. Now, I don't want to mark that just yet because I don't like marking over a region line like this. But it's something to think about because it's also going to then affect this one. But I don't know if that's how we want to go just yet. So the other way to look, what about this guy? Because it's got 1 and 2 looking at it. So this is either a 3-6 or it's a 4-8. And I think either one works. Yeah, they do. Okay. Maybe we can do more now since we have this 8. And we said we couldn't have 8s in a lot of these. So one of these is an 8. If this is 8, clearly that makes that a 4. If this is an 8, this can just be whatever it wants. The other way was look at these. Which ones can be 8s? None of these can be 8s. Okay, so there we go. We rule out an 8 because we have that 8. This clearly can't be an 8, and none of these can be 8s. Well, no, it's not true. That could be an 8. I almost screwed that up too. Because, yeah, this could be 8 going to 9 with this being a 4, and that doesn't see anything else here. So we do not get... We do know that... No, we don't know. Okay, I thought I had something there. I did not. So, good thing I looked. What about this Kropki? It cannot be 1, 2, 2, 4, or 3, 6. There we go. Okay, that's what's doing it. This sees this black Kropki. So once again, we rule out 1, 2. We rule out 2, 4. We rule out 3, 6. So therefore, the only thing left over is 4, 8. So therefore, this has to be 4, and this has to be 8, and this has to be 9. Okay. Now these, we can't quite rule these out, what this is specifically just yet. It has to be from 2, 3, and this has to be from 1, 2. But is there anything else we can say about some of this? Well, I guess we can continue on to this Kropki dot, because this can't be from 2, 4, or 8, or 3, so it's either a 1 or a 6. It's the only possibilities. Which means this is either a 2 or a 3. Yeah, that didn't give me as much as I hoped it might. So maybe there's something further we can do. Except none of the 7s we knew had to be over here. The 5, I can't quite rule. Well, I can rule out the 5, can't I? The 5 cannot be here. Because if it is here, these have to have 6, 7, 8. First off, there's an 8 in here, plus we know the 7's down here. So this is never a 5. So this is a 5-7 pair. I have to pause this video for a second. I've got a call coming in I need to take. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. Hey, sorry about that. I'm back. Take a phone call as I stated. And now that that is done, I can continue on with this puzzle. So what am I doing? That's always the hardest part. I think I just determined that there had to be a 5 here, because this couldn't be 5, 6, 7, 8. Correct. Okay, so this has to be a 5-7 pair. And this would have to be a 1-6 pair, and it can't be 6 for the same reason it can't be a 7. So this would have to be 1, this would have to be 6, this would have to be 3. All right, hopefully all my previous markings were correct on that one. So, I gotta get my brain back focused on this now. So we've got some information going on in here. Can we further determine the 6 has to be in one of these 3? Oh no, it can't be in either of these because we've got a 6 right here now. So there's no 6. This is a 6-7 pair. Let's put that in there. These have to be from 2, 3, and 5. You said this could never be 5, right? Yeah, so this has to be 5. This has to be 2 or 3. Alrighty. If that's a 2-3 pair, this has to then be 1. And these have to be from 4 and 9. So this has to be 4 and this has to be 9 because 4 can't go after 6 on a thermo. And okay, we've got something going now. So now we've got a foothold, it seems. And maybe we can use, yep, we can't have 1s in any of these. So let's put a 1 here. We can't have a 1 in any of these. So let's put a 1 here. 1s are removed from all of these, so one of these is the 1. And we don't quite know enough down here yet to do anything. Now, could we do anything further with 8s? Because I don't recall what we had previously determined was happening up in here. But we know that none of these can, well, that can't rule that one out. Those can be 8s, but I don't think that gave us anything, right? We just knew that those were out. Because this could still be 8. Would have put a 4 here, which works, and then a 9 here. That all works. Okay, the other thing we could look at is 9s. So we know one of these two is a 9. And that's, well, none of these can be a none, and that can be a none. Didn't quite give me enough. I thought it might do something, but it doesn't. Okay, maybe we can do something further with our Kropki dots. Because what can this be? It can't be 1, it can't be 2, because this would have to be either be 1 or 4. We can't do that. It can't be 3 or 6, so it's either 4 or 8. It can't be 8, because that would force this to be a 4, so this is a 4, and therefore this is either 2 or 8. And I cannot say which one of those two it is just yet. Okay. We're getting some things poking out here now, so let's continue and see what else we can figure out. That 4 now, can we do anything with it? We remove 4s from all of these places. I don't think we're going to get a whole lot more out of that. Probably not. So what's the next more logical way to look at this? Maybe these Kropki dots, we can continue on with them. Maybe this one, because it's kind of sees the most, I guess. We know this couldn't be 2, 1, 2. It can't be 2, 4, because the 2 can never work in either of those situations. Problem is we can't rule out the 3, 6, and I think that's what I had previously noted. So it's either an 8 with a 4 here, or if it's a 3, 6 pair, and the 3 would be here. So this is either 3 or 4 then, because it's the only two combinations. This has to be 6 or 8. Now, if this is 3 or 4, this has to be 2 or 3. And we can't really tell too much about, well, we can actually. This has to be 9. Because if this is 6, this has to be either 7, 8, or 9. It can't be 7, and it can't be 8. So therefore it's 9. And if it's 8, this has to be 9. So this is 9. Okay. Now, can we take this the rest of the way? Not quite. I thought we might get our 9s done. We didn't. That's okay. All right. Now, we couldn't quite figure that one out. Is there anything else on these other ones we can do? So we know this clearly can't be a 1, 2. It can't be 2, 4, because again, 2 can't fit in any of those situations. So it's either 3, 6, or 4, 8. Let's just type those in and then get rid of the options here. This can't ever be 3, 2, 1, 0. So let's get rid of those. So we do get a 3, 4 pair here, it looks like, which means this has to be a 2. And can we do, we can't really quite do the same thing with the 6 here 6, 8 pair that we did here, I don't think, because this could still be a 7. Or an 8, for that matter. But if this is a 3 or 4, this has to be a 2 or a 3. So let's put that in. And yeah, we can't rule out the 6 here going back down our thermo either. We can't do it this way either. Okay. All right, so I was hoping our black Kropkis would get us something, but it seems like they're not quite. Because there anything we do with this one? Again, it can't be 1, 2. Could be 2, 4 if the 2 was here and the 4 was here. Can't be 3, 6. But it could be 4, 8. Again, the 4 would have to be here. So let's put those in, because that's only a couple of options. So it's either 2, 4 or 4, 8. This is not a 4. This is not an 8 or a 2, so it just is a 4, right? Let's just make one quick check on that one again. It cannot be 1, 2. Cannot be 3, 6. So it's either 2, 4 or 4, 8. It has to have a 4 in it. 4 there shows that that's a 4. Okay. That's something. Now, is there anything further we can do with this row, or column, excuse me, because we have thermos and a Kropki dot we can kind of work with. These have to be from 2, 5, 7, and 8. This can never be 2 or 8. This can never be 8 or 7. This can never be a 2. So there has to be a 2 down here. So this actually just is a 5, which means that is 7, and that is 8, and that is 4, and 3, and 2. This has to be 6. Okay, well, that worked out. So we could determine what those were. Now, we know what these two digits must be. They have to be from a 3 and 6, and clearly this can't be 3, so this is 6, and this is 3. And what else? This is a given digit of 3. And we get a deet deet doot in the corner, always fun. These aren't really that important just yet. I don't think we can rule out what they need to be, because they're 5, 7, and 6, and there's nothing looking at it at the moment. This being 2, 8. this would have to either be 1 or 7. Because it's either 2, 1, because it can't be 2, 3, and it can't be 8, 9, so it would have to be 8, 7. Yeah. Okay. What about this bad boy here? It has to be lower than 5. It cannot be 1, 2, 3, or it cannot be 2, 3, or 4. So therefore, it is just a single 1, which then does tell us our 7 and our 8 and our 2, and that gives us our 5 and our 7. And what do we have left over in this row? Because it seems like it's the most constrained at the moment. We have to be able to put in an 8, a 9, and a 7. That doesn't help a ton, because there are quite a few options there that will still work. Okay, let's look here then. This just has to be a 5, doesn't it? Because it can't be 1, 2, 3, or 4. So this is 5. This has to be 4 because it can't be 1, 2, or 3. And this has to be 1 because it can't be 2, 3, or 4. It meant to be clicking on that when I did that. Okay, well, that worked. Just dreading getting another call that I don't want to answer right now. This is a 7, 8 pair, so therefore this is a 6 and a 7. And again, these are from 2, 3, and 8. We can't quite rule enough of those out. We can only just say that the 3 can't be here. So let's not do that just yet. Did I create any basic Sudoku here that would have given anything away? We must be done with our 1s, right? Yes, this has to be a 1, so this has to be a 9, which means this has to be a 9. Let's get rid of all those. So our 1s are done. Our 9s are done. Let's take a look around the block here and see what we can figure. Or do we want to stick with using our clues instead of jumping around to fill in things? Let's do that. That seems like it's going to be more fun to do. Maybe a little bit more work involved, but hey, nothing wrong with that. What can this black Kropki dot be now? Well, it can still be a lot of things, to be honest. Well, maybe not. It can't be 1, 2, because we got the 1 looking at it. It can't be 2, 4, because there's 2 4s looking at it. And it can't be 4, 8, so therefore it has to be 3, 6, and this has to be 6, and this has to be 3. That didn't quite break this up, but we do have these 2 here, which have to be from 2 and 6. Therefore, this here has to be the 2. This has to be the 6. And what's next? Let's look at this column, I guess. 5, 7, and 8. This has to be 5 because it can't go here or here. This has to be 7 or 8. It's got a 7th. This is 8 and 7 and 8 and 7. There we go. These 2 are from 4 and 8. We've got a 4 down here. So let's put our 8 and our 4 in. This has to be 2 or 8 because those are the last 2 digits in this column. There's an 8 here, so let's put our 2 and our 8 in. This is now a given 3. These 2 digits have to be from 5 and 2. This is 5 and 2. All right, we're almost done. Let's just figure out the last couple things to do. This 2 finishes that 8. What are these 2 guys now? 3 and 7. So this is 3 because of that. This is 7. These 2 have to be from 5 and 6. They are not quite determined yet. That 3 does give me a 2 and a 3 down here, though. This is all working out in terms of our thermos. I guess I should have verified that as I was going along. Yep, they are all working perfectly fine. Good. This is a given digit of 6. Which gives us our 5 and our 6. And then we should be able just to finish this off now. We need a 2 in this column, or this row, excuse me. That's 2. This has to be 4. And the last 2 digits are 5 and 7. This is 5. This is 7. There we go. You solved the puzzle. Solution is correct. Cool. So that was a lot of fun. Full deck and missing a few cards. Always excellent puzzles. This one was no different. Enjoyed it. Sadly, I did have to get an interruption in the middle of it. You guys won't have really noticed it because obviously I just paused the video and then restarted it back up at the exact same place that I ended it. Anyway, hope y'all enjoyed it. I certainly did, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.